Yes, sir, we're officially back at it. This is Boog Nice coming at you with the Max Factory Figma Berserk Anime Guts figure review. Let's do it.
This ain't for no scalper. You a scalper? Then fuck out shit. This one's for them real collectors. That's army building and posing figures. Marvel Legends, imports, mini matey I'm fucking with. Hype beast we know about you. Stay buying figs, don't know about it.
And a quick look at the side of the box. You can see a picture of the figure there, a half picture. It says Figma 359. And on the opposite side, you can see another picture of the figure, and it says Figma 359 once again. Alright, so we're taking a look at the Figma Berserk Anime Guts figure. This is the Black Swordsman version. This is Figma's fourth Guts figure. This is their second figure of this particular version. This is pretty much just a repaint. Now, this is my very first Guts figure. I am pretty much a noob to this anime, but I did take the past week or so to watch the 3-part trilogy that they have on Netflix right now, which I would highly recommend. I really enjoyed it, and it definitely drew me into the world of Berserk, and now I'm like a fiend, and it got me, and I'm on eBay searching for the older figures that Figma put out, and them shits is expensive. So I don't know that I'm going to be able to backtrack to get some of the older figures, but I'm in right now, and I'm definitely on the fence about getting the villains, I guess you can say. I don't want to kind of spoil any of the anime for anybody who hasn't watched it. I may be probably the only person that hasn't watched it up until last week, but I'm definitely feeling this figure. I'm feeling the anime. I'm all in. So yeah, let's take a look at the figure and his accessories. Let's look at his accessories first. So just a little more insight on the figures that have been released already. They released the Band of the Hawk version, which is the version that you will see if you decide to check out the anime, that 3-part trilogy on Netflix. They also released the Berserker Armor version, which is probably the most expensive to try to backtrack and get right now. It is a very nice looking figure. It's such a cool looking figure. And then, like I said, they released this version, the Black Swordsman version, already, and now they re-released this figure as a repaint. Help me out in the comments. I'm not sure what is actually different about this one as far as the repaint. I didn't bother looking up any old reviews of that, but everything on him seems to look really good. As far as the deco, it looks pretty accurate to the anime from what I can tell. And out of the package, he comes with 2 fisted hands. This hand right here is a mechanical hand. Again, I don't want to give away too much from the anime. If you haven't seen it, I don't want to spoil it for anybody. But yeah, this is his flesh hand. You can see it's wrapped in a little bandage here, and this hand is sort of mechanical. So 2 fists out of the package. And Figma always gives you this little wheel that you have the interchangeable hands attached to, or that you can attach them to. And you can see he's got 2 more sets of open hands, semi-open hands, which he can use to hold his weapon, it seems, or these probably are the ones for his weapon, but they're all open for the most part, just varying degrees of open. And so he's got 3 complete sets there. And all Figma figures come with a stand, so that helps if you want to try to do some dynamic things. You know me, my go-to is always the A.C.B.A stands for the most part, but sometimes these do come in handy. Then he also comes with this interchangeable hand, which is fixed in this position. You see there's a little peg there, and it tabs in where, again, it's fixed in this position, and it's supposed to represent the fact that this little mechanical arm is sort of projectile as well, or it is. So he can shoot like darts and other things out of here, and this kind of flaps down, and you know, it's a weapon as well. And being that it's metal, or some sort of metal, obviously it's very hard. So you can see him using it to kind of punch enemies and grab things and do all types of stuff. So this was a cool feature. Just taking a closer look at the face that comes attached to him out of the package before I swap out this head and show you his alternate head sculpt. In this version of the character, he has 1 eye and 1 full arm. He lost his hand on his left arm and lost his right eye, so you can see that his eye is closed there. He looks very serious. Again, I think it looks very accurate to the anime, to the character. It should be noted that I did see the 3-part trilogy on Netflix. I also saw I think I'm about 7 episodes into the 2016 anime, and I've already watched maybe like 3 or 4 episodes of the 1997 original anime as well. And big shout out to my man Rick and Emiya, Mike Wang, other people who were already been hip to this and were kind of guiding me along to check out the stuff. And I know my man Emiya is going to send me the manga as well. So interested in reading that. All right, moving right along. Let's swap out the head. Just so you can see how that swaps out the peg. The entire head comes out of the neck. So I'll get that swapped out. Then that second head is sort of gritted teeth version. So this is one you can use when he's being attacked or he is attacking. And that looks good. You can see all of his teeth and all of them are individually represented there. The paintwork looks good. You can see the kind of his brows going down to show that he's angry or stressed or struggling or whatever the case may be. And I think that looks very good. And he also comes with his cape, which I'm not really a big fan of. From my understanding, I did look at some reviews of the Berserker armor version. They did a much better job with that cape. It was sort of like a fixed kind of hard plastic. This is not. This is like paper mache or something. I don't know. Like this part up here, obviously you can tell it's a harder plastic, but the actual cape, it's not really much to it, and you could definitely mess this up or ruin it if you're not careful. So you know, I'm not really a fan of how they did this particular cape, but while I have his head off, let's pop this on. You know what, actually, before I do that, let's take a look at his iconic sword here. So you can see the sword is a huge part of the character, literally and figuratively. So you can see the sword is almost as big as him, or is as big as him from tip to handle. Really, it's taller. And this is great. It's great to see him wielding it in the anime and cutting down enemies. It's definitely a cool thing to watch. The animation is really well done. So yeah, let's get this on and then we'll put the cape on, because I'm pretty sure that's how you have to do it. All right, so that was really a pain in the butt to get on, but you have to pop off the top of the sword, get the sword fitted in to this little leather, faux leather strap back here. Then there's a chain that hooks onto the back of his back, and then you can slide the cape over the sword without the handle on it, through this little hole in the back, and then put the handle back on, and that's that. So I don't like this cape, but I understand now why they did it like that. So you can kind of mess with it and manipulate it how you need to get it back into shape. And when you have everything on and you actually get the cape to sit flush and sit nicely, then everything will actually look pretty good. So there he is with the sword sheathed and everything on, and that looks pretty good. And like I said, I do think he looks accurate to the anime. Let's take a closer look at some of the deco. You can see he's got what I believe are the little excuse me, the little darts or arrows or what have you that actually will go into his mechanical arm that he can shoot out. I believe that's what that is. If not, correct me if I'm wrong. It would have been nice if this small dagger could be removable. You see him messing with a small dagger from time to time in the anime. All of the pouches and everything here look very good. Very nicely detailed. Figma is always really good as far as their paint applications go. Sometimes they can have some little funny things going on as far as quality control. I think the sword came off with a little strap on the back, but everything here looks really good. Weathered really nicely. The boots, everything looks very clean, and I'm pretty happy with the way the figure looks. You know, it's just the cape. I'm not a big fan of the cape, but again, I do understand why. And swapping his hands in and out seems to be no problem. There he is with the sword slung across his shoulder there, and he can hold that with no issue. It looks pretty good. Let me get him holding the sword with 2 hands. Again, I'm not really feeling this cape, but I do realize that once you maybe apply just a tad bit of heat and kind of shape it, maybe that may work, and it kind of sits properly, everything will look clean and streamlined. And maybe when I get this guy up on a horse or something like that, the fact that the cape is kind of flailing out a little bit won't be a big deal. Now, I do have the Figma horse, which I think is very small, but I ended up ordering the old Toy Biz Lord of the Rings horse, one of those horses. My man Rick had recommended the horse. He had showed me a picture of his Band of the Hawk version of Guts on the horse one of those horses, and it looked really, really good. So I went ahead and ordered one. I guess you'll see that on my Instagram. Follow me on Instagram. The link will be in the description below. But yeah, there he is, kind of holding the sword. No stand or anything. So while the sword is very big, you can actually get him posed up without the stand. But I would probably recommend that you do kind of mess with some different stands and kind of hide them when you start doing your A.C.B.A. or what have you. All right, moving along. I wanted to try something real quick before I get into the articulation. Was just trying to see how he would look, or if he could hold the sword out with one hand. But I see that that's not really possible because of how massive the sword is. Another thing to note is that you should always take the tip of the handle off and slide his hand onto the sword, and not just try to place his hand on the sword. You know, it's easier to just slide his hand up. This is the other hand that he could use for kind of holding the sword in a downward kind of forward motion, but I was trying to get him to kind of hold it back, but he's not going to be able to hold that up on his own. Again, it is a massive sword. That's pretty much the best you'll get, I guess. I'm gonna play with it a little bit more, but getting into the articulation, let's look over the articulation closely. You can get a fairly good amount of articulation. As you saw, the head is moves independently of the neck, and the neck can move as well. I'm not really a big fan of the shape of the neck. I do understand why the head kind of sits on the neck that way, so you could kind of prop the head up as you push the neck down. But I don't know, something about the shape of this neck looks a little funny. But you do get a very nice range of motion left and right. You can do a full 360. It'll pivot. He's going to look up only that far, though. You can't get him to look up too far, but you can get him to look down pretty far. Shoulders are on a ball joint. They will do a full 360, but because of how the armor is here at the shoulders, they're not going to go up that far. Yeah, the shoulder's not going to go up too far. That's pretty much it. You get like a little, just a tad bit more than 90 degrees on the elbow, but it will rotate on that joint as well. No upper bicep swivel, but it does kind of rotate on the shoulder there. You get a hinge and a swivel on the wrist. You can get rotation here right above. Well, I guess this is supposed to be his waist here, but you can get rotation. The ab crunch is almost non-existent. It's not going to go too far forward. There is a joint in there. But that's pretty much the range that you'll get. Split will look like that. The legs can come out pretty far. They can come up pretty far too. I know how the Figma joints are. This will probably pop off if you pull it up too far, but it will rotate on that joint as well. You do get what is simulation of a upper thigh swivel, I guess. There you do get a double jointed knee. I wish there was rotation here at the boot. There is not. But it does kind of rotate a little bit here at the knee, which is kind of weird. You get a hinge and a pivot on the foot. So, you know, you can get them out into some good stances. The pivot is really what you need as far as getting them into some nice stances for holding this sword and what have you. But it's the same thing on both sides as far as the arms goes. The articulation is decent. It's not bad. It's what you would expect from Figma. And I should probably just take a closer look at this. As far as more fine details, I don't know how well that's showing up, but on the back of his neck there, you can see that little brand. I don't want to ruin anything, but that'll be a significant part of the anime and of the character. It was nice that they put that on there. I would have liked to see some red in there, maybe just kind of looking like maybe just a little bit of blood around there, but at least they did add that. And you can see this is kind of where the sword kind of sheaths in there. It doesn't really like fully sheath in there, but this kind of holds it in place. And then there's another little hook for the sword that you see here that'll hook on right there, and it'll slide in and be held into place by this kind of faux leather. And yeah, I think they did a pretty good job. I'm just not 100% sure on what they upgraded as far as the paint scheme on this repaint. Alright, so there he is with the Mafex Nightmare Batman, the SH Figuarts Tony Stark, the Mezco Deadpool, and the Marvel Legends Invisible Woman. Like I said, I don't have any other characters from the anime, from Figma. I'm very interested in getting Griffith and Casca, but you know, those figures are kind of expensive. Hopefully Figma will re-release some of those figures from the Band of the Hawk series and then I can kind of match him up with some characters, even though this version wouldn't necessarily go with them in those particular costumes, but it is what it is. But as you can see, he stacks up pretty well with other lines. I mean, I guess you could kind of mix and match and do some kit bashing from other lines and get him with some fighting some skeletons or some random enemies that he may have come across in his travels. But even with the villains that I want to get that are available now from the anime, he doesn't really face them in this particular scale. Again, I don't want to give away too much, so even that would be something perspective, but it would be nice to have those guys as well. So not a bad figure at all. Definitely not feeling the cape. And I said paper mache trying to be funny, but the material is more like a felt almost, but not as good as felt, because if it was felt, it would sit a certain way and it would kind of lay a certain way and it wouldn't be sticking out. You can't really tell right now, but it's kind of sticking straight out to the back. But here it looks okay. It looks like it might just be flailing in the wind or something like that. But overall, though, I do like the figure. Like I said, I am excited about delving into this universe. My daughter and my girl both said that his head looks kind of small. What do you guys think? You think his head looks a little small? Does it look kind of Beetlejuice-ish? Beetlejuice-ish? Let me know what you think about that. But I am pretty happy with the figure overall. I paid about $60 shipped from Japan directly for this figure. I know that it will be a little more pricey on the secondary market. Oh, one thing I should definitely note is that the anime that is on Netflix right now is not safe for work, not safe for kids. It does get a little freaky, a little weird towards the third movie in the trilogy, and throughout the each movie in the trilogy there is some sexual content and some nudity, so definitely not something you want to watch with your kids. And if you are not mature enough, then you probably shouldn't be watching it either if you see in this video. But it is what it is. And yeah, thanks for hanging out. As always, rate, comment, and subscribe. Oh, before I go, you guys should know that we are running a couple of polls right now. I talked about this on Instagram, talked about this everywhere. Click the link in the description below and vote for your top toy company or brand for 2017, and also vote for the top 10 Marvel Legends of 2017. And we're going to be putting up one more poll. So if you're on Facebook, you have a Facebook, you can participate in these polls. And please do not forget to purchase a 2018 A.C.B.A. calendar. The proceeds from the calendar will go to the American Diabetes Association. All of those links will be in the description below. Again, thanks for hanging out. Talk to y'all soon. Peace.
Crispy.